Okay, it's Thursday, November 3rd. This is a pre-opening SPY report. And before I get to the pre-market activity, which is, if you look at it, we're drifting a little lower here after the sell-off yesterday. Just wanted to kind of recap the significance of yesterday again. If you looked at, and this is kind of one of the reasons I make these videos, to kind of really, in my mind, have a scenario that I'm looking for with conviction. And yesterday I kind of discussed, I'm leaving the blue lines in from yesterday. I discussed in the pre-opening video how I thought this little range here was pretty significant in terms of the potential future of direction of the market, where if we went above it, I saw an opportunity, to really possibly in the big picture on the monthly chart be starting a confirmation of a whole new uptrend. And if we broke below it, back to, we'll keep it on the daily chart. If we broke below it, I said that could be a big turning point to the downside in terms of that we just broadened out here on the weekly chart to above this high. We looked at this one bar, and I was noticing that it was a compound outside bar of this one bar, and if we broke below this area, we could be setting up the weekly failure, which looks like it's going to unfold today and reach its target, and that could possibly mean a whole nother move back through this range to the downside, which is getting close, but we'll see if that really unfolds. So that's, again, when you see a significant area develop. And also I discussed in previous videos how as we were moving up on this big reversal to the upside, I really wanted to see some kind of a weekly failure. I made some videos earlier where it could have been a small little bar like this that failed and moved down, or in this case, this was the weekly two-up failure where we moved above the high of a previous week and then got to the midpoint of that week, and that's what yesterday's break below that range did. That then kind of forecasted that we would hit the bottom of this week, which we're going to do this morning. And then at this point, we have an outside bar to the downside. Now, finally, before I get to today, the outside bar to the downside isn't necessarily an actionable signal. You get a 3 bar that we're going to necessarily continue. It's very possible that could happen, and we'll get into some of the targets below, but also it's just broadening action on a very small time frame, on a relatively small time frame, which means you can just probe that area, maybe have a 1 bar into next week and start higher. You can have a 3-2 without much follow through, and then a 3-2 back up eventually. So this outside bar by itself doesn't necessarily mean you're coming all the way back through the range, but we're going to kind of keep that in mind now going forward, because it is a weekly reversal bar on some level. So anyway, then we get to today, so I figure now I'll move the lines. What we have here is pre-opening range. So until that's the green bar, which is the open of the week, which I don't really need as much anymore. We're somewhere around here, let's say the close of yesterday. So this is the opening range. So we're going to continue to follow. We see here on the daily chart, it's down below yesterday's bar and kind of hitting our weekly target likely. And at this point, it is still possible that we get some kind of reversal in here. Our next targets are now down to this area, so we keep that in mind if we continue. And it is possible, like I said, on the weekly chart, we have a little gap in here between the high of this bar and the low of this bar that we're going to touch this morning. If somehow we want to hold in here, maybe you get some kind of reversal to the upside. But to get a reversal to the upside, you're going to need to break above this, pre-market high, and you're going to have to then follow through to the midpoint of yesterday. So until that happens, everything's to the downside now. There was a big break yesterday that I was looking for. The monthly chart won't turn up until this purple line's reached. The weekly, I moved that a little bit, but that, that's with 2 days to go in the week. I don't think we're going to get back up there unless something really, some buying comes in, but I don't expect that. If anything, I'm expecting continuation lower. And now we really want to keep these targets in mind down here as the next area. And once that hits, if we can get all the way down there, then we go to the monthly chart, and we're very close to failing on the monthly chart, where we take out the high of the previous month, get the midpoint of that month, and at that point, that if we hold that kind of area and don't really bounce, then we're going to be looking for a failure on the monthly chart. This is not the type of bar where you normally get that kind of three, well, you never could tell. So let's just say if we hit the midpoint of that monthly bar, we're going to just stick with our conviction that we're going to be heading down and broadening this whole, upside move here back to the downside. It's easier to see on the daily chart with this big upward move. We would lower that line, this line, something like that, and then we would, extend this out. And that the yellow lines down here are some longer, bigger picture targets that I've had in play for a long time. So that could be developing right here, especially if we get through the midpoint of this whole, megaphone. We should be expecting to hit some lower targets, and we can get into that. So anyway, downward expectations today. Let's see how it unfolds. As long as we stay below the pre-market highs, we'll expect follow through lower. There are some targets down there. We'll just watch opening price action. But like I said, this little move yesterday was pretty significant in terms of expectations, and now it's all to the downside until proven otherwise.